the channel. Today I've brought explanation and a fully solved answer of question number 3 part 1 of the CBSE sample paper for English that CBSE has recently released, the term 2 sample paper. Now in this question number 3 part 1 it is based on a concept chart और ये analytical paragraph के अंदर ही आता है. Analytical paragraph के अंदर bar graph, line graph, pie chart और maps, टाइम टेबल्स एंड कॉन्सेप्ट चार्ट ये चीजें आती हैं. सो ऑलरेडी आई हैव अपलोडेड द एक्सप्लेनेशन ऑफ बार ग्राफ, लाइन ग्राफ, पाई चार्ट. ये सारी एक्सप्लेनेशंस विद एग्जांपल्स जो हैं चैनल पे आपको मिल जाएंगी. ऑल द डिस्क्रिप्शंस आई हैव गिवन इन द लिंक्स. It is there in the description box. So you can go there and you can click on the link and revise all these. Now today we are going to revise the concept chart that CBSE has given in the sample paper. और हम ये सीखेंगे कि ये आज attempt कैसे करना है. Now this is the question. You have to attempt any one out of part 1 and part 2. अब part 2 जो है वो inquiry letter है and inquiry letter जो है that is also uploaded on the channel. Now part 1. It says study the concept chart from the self-help magazine section of a monthly publication. So एक concept chart दिया गया है and you have to study it, and then what you have to do is write a paragraph in not more than 120 words analyzing the listed responses to the situation when one faces setbacks. So situation है setback और इसके दो रिस्पॉन्सेज दिए गए हैं. एक हेल्दी है, हेल्दी प्रोसेसिंग, और एक है इनएबिलिटी टू प्रोसेस फुली, दैट मीन्स अनहेल्दी वे टू रिस्पॉन्ड टू अ सेटबैक. तो ये जो है ये हमने दोनों वेज जो है स्टडी करके एनालाइज करने हैं और 120 वर्ड्स में वी हैव टू राइट अ पैराग्राफ. नाउ लेट्स फर्स्ट चेक द मार्किंग स्कीम ऑफ CBSE, what CBSE actually wants us to do. Now marking scheme says there are certain learning objectives कि हमें इस questions में आना क्या चाहिए. So सबसे पहले conveying ideas, convey ideas convincingly using appropriate language. So एक appropriate language है इस question की जो हम सीखेंगे. Then how to organize the content and structure of ideas logically, sequentially and cohesively. So एक logical way होता है answer जो है frame करने का. Then is a range of vocabulary. So they are going to test your vocabulary. It should be rich and sentence structure. So you have to use different sentence structures. A repetition जो है वो नहीं होनी चाहिए, ना तो vocabulary की ना sentence structure की. And after that, use of functional language to show comparison, contrast and emphasis. So when you have to show comparison and contrast, there is a proper functional language that is to be used. So we will be using that in our answer. Now further, this is what CBSE has given us as an example. So topic sentence. It is going to be of 5 marks and 3 marks they are going to be awarded for a topic sentence, and then any 2 points of contrast and comparison. So half mark will be given for topic sentence, 2 marks will be given for your comparison and contrast that you will be making, and then your conclusion will also have half mark. So 3 marks for content. So topic sentence identifying 2 responses of setbacks in the concept map. और example दिया गया है कुछ इस तरह से होना चाहिए. Setbacks often leave one with a feeling of disappointment and sometimes even worse. The concept chart given below displays 2 ways to handle setbacks, for the better or for the worse. The 2 ways of processing setbacks, healthy and unhealthy. So ये हो गया introduction. After that, when you have to compare and contrast. Example जो दिया गया है marking scheme में, healthy processing helps one learn from and let go the emotions inside. On the contrary, inability to process leads to a block, self-criticism and self-doubt. Now here, these phrases like on the contrary. So these are the language and expressions which you have to write, and this is the functional language to make comparisons and to show contrast. Then it has CBSE has given another example, another way in which you can write. An optimistic way of seeing a setback processes the ability to feel, reflect, learn and align. On the other hand, negative perspective of a failure can lead to listlessness, diverted attention, excessive rumination and unacceptance of failure. So on the other hand, so again such phrases and expressions. Then there has to be a conclusion. Concluding sentence tie to the content of the topic sentence. So ये topic sentence से related होना चाहिए. अब ये कैसे होना चाहिए and what it means, that I'll explain. Showcasing a perspective, rationalizing the importance of healthy processing of setbacks encountered. So conclusion का example है, for instance, one might want to point out to the fact that the responding to setbacks negatively leads to a vicious cycle of undesirable feelings. So it is evident that experiencing a setback leads to feelings of inadequacy and incompetency, along with an unwillingness to accept situations. Responding to setbacks the positive way is empowering as it leads to success. So ये CBSE ने हमें कुछ examples दिए हैं कि this is the way how you have to write it. Now we will develop our own answer and इसके साथ साथ मैं सिखाऊंगी कि वो करना कैसे है. Now note that is given is that just listing concept map matter without evidence of analysis carries no credit. So you are not going to any marks if there is no evidence given. If you just list what is given in the concept map, if you do not use proper vocabulary, proper phrases and expressions to use comparison and contrast, so then no credit will be given. Then 2 marks जो बच गए थे, so those 2 marks are divided like this. Half a mark is for inclusion of a single paragraph organization with a suitable topic sentence, supporting sentences and suitable concluding sentence. So 3 चीजें जो हैं इसे हम ऑर्गेनाइजेशन या एक तरह का फॉर्मेट कह सकते हैं. सो पहले टॉपिक सेंटेंस और पैराफ्रेजिंग होनी चाहिए जो इंट्रोडक्शन में होती है. सो आफ्टर दैट कंपैरिजन और कंट्रास्ट के सपोर्टिंग सेंटेंसेस होने चाहिए और उसके बाद एंड में कंक्लूजन होनी चाहिए. एंड ऑल दिस शुड बी इन अ सिंगल पैराग्राफ. यू आर नॉट टू मेक डिफरेंट पैराग्राफ्स हियर. So inclusion of a single paragraph. There is no requirement of a title. So remember, title is not required because the purpose is analysis and not publication. But even if you write the title, marks will not be deducted, but there is no need of any title. Then 1 mark will be given for the use of appropriate functional language to show comparison, contrast and emphasis. So the examples of that functional language is given for comparison and contrast, like you can use in contrast with, in comparison to, on the contrary, however, whereas, as opposed to, while, then a striking difference, a noticeable difference, despite, etc. Such words. And if you want to create an emphasis, so like in other words, especially, specifically, to emphasize, to demonstrate, such as, or in particular. So full 1 mark will be given if functional language has been used consistently. You will get half a credit if the functional language it has been used occasionally or sparingly. And no credit will be given if functional language is missing. So you have to take care of all these points while you write this answer. Now what is a topic sentence? अब हमने देखा कि topic sentence CBSE कह रही है कि होना चाहिए. So topic sentence जो है वो होता क्या है? So topic sentence it summarizes the main idea of a paragraph. तो जो paragraph हमने लिखना है उस paragraph का जो main idea है उसे हम topic sentence में लिखते हैं. So that topic sentence it becomes the introduction of the paragraph कि आगे रीडर को पता लग जाता है कि वो पैराग्राफ में क्या पढ़ने वाला है या पैराग्राफ किस बारे में होने वाला है. तो उसको कहते हैं टॉपिक सेंटेंस. इट इज रिटन इन द बिगिनिंग ऑफ अ पैराग्राफ. सो ऑब्वियसली पैराग्राफ की बिगिनिंग में टॉपिक सेंटेंस लिखा जाएगा. इट गिव्स एन आइडिया अबाउट द पैराग्राफ. सो जो 3 पार्ट्स हैं वो आपके जो इस पैराग्राफ के होने चाहिए वो ये हैं. पहला पार्ट होगा इंट्रोडक्शन. इंट्रोडक्शन बनेगी पैराफ्रेजिंग से और टॉपिक सेंटेंस से. सो पैराफ्रेजिंग है कि जो क्वेश्चन दिया हुआ है उस क्वेश्चन को हम अपने वर्ड्स में यूजिंग सिनोनिम्स उसको हम लिखेंगे और साथ में एक टॉपिक सेंटेंस देंगे. देन सेकंड पार्ट विल बी highlighting the features, the data that is given, concept, process, whatever, making comparisons and contrasting it. So वो आएगा हमारा सेकंड. एंड एंड में हमने लिखनी है कंक्लूजन. लेकिन हमने पॉइंट्स नहीं बनाने, हमने डिफरेंट पैराग्राफ नहीं बनाने. इट हैज टू बी अ सिंगल पैराग्राफ ऑफ 120 वर्ड्स. सो नाउ दिस इज व्हाट CBSE हैज गिवन. जो CBSE ने एग्जाम्पल्स दिए हैं उसे मैंने इकट्ठा लिख लिया है. सो जस्ट लेट्स रीड. So ये इंट्रोडक्शन और टॉपिक सेंटेंस हो गया. Setbacks often leave one with a feeling of disappointment and sometimes even worse. The concept chart given below displays two ways to handle setbacks. तो इसे paraphrasing कह सकते हैं. For the better or for the worse. The two ways of processing setbacks, healthy and unhealthy. So these are the ways CBSE has shown us that you get right like this. उसके बाद second part जो है वो ऐसे लिख सकते हैं. Healthy processing helps one learn from and let go of the emotions inside. On the contrary, inability to process leads to block, self-criticism and self-doubt. Or an optimistic way of seeing a setback processes the ability to feel, reflect, learn and align. On the other hand, a negative perspective of a failure can lead to listlessness, diverted attention, excessive rumination and unacceptance of failure. अब अगर हम इसमें देखें, what is the use of functional language? Where the functional language has been used, like here, on the contrary, then on the other hand. So this is use of functional language. Then comes the conclusion. So it is evident. So it is evident, again it is, you are using a phrase to emphasize and giving an evidence. It is evident that experiencing a setback leads to feelings of inadequacy and incompetency along with an unwillingness to accept situations. Responding to setbacks the positive way is empowering as it leads to success. So this becomes the conclusion and the paragraph is complete. But here you are not to leave gaps in between. Here I have left gaps in between just to make it clear to you. So all this will be in one paragraph without any gap in between. Now we will be writing our own paragraph. But first I'll tell you how you have to work and you have to decide what is to be included in comparing and contrasting. So these are the three things I have given on one side. We have to make our points according to this. This is the passage once again. So सबसे पहले इंट्रोडक्शन जिसमें कि पैराफ्रेजिंग और टॉपिक सेंटेंस आएगा. अब हमें पता है कि जो टॉपिक है वो सेटबैक पे है और सेटबैक पे सबसे पहले एक्सपीरियंस क्या है, फीलिंग अपसेट. वो दोनों ही केसेस पे फीलिंग ऑफ अपसेट आएगी, चाहे वो अनहेल्दी है या हेल्दी प्रोसेसिंग है. सो फीलिंग ऑफ अपसेट इज कॉमन टू बोथ. तो ये वाली जो चीज़ है ये हम टॉपिक सेंटेंस में यूज कर सकते हैं बिकॉज इट इज कॉमन टू बोथ. सो this I'm writing here T. I'll be using it in my topic sentence. So topic sentence में आगे दो चीजें जो हैं वो होनी चाहिए, हेल्दी और अनहेल्दी वे, बिकॉज मेरा जो पैराग्राफ है वो इन दोनों चीजों से कंसर्न करेगा. So this is what I'm going to write in the topic sentence along with paraphrasing. और paraphrase क्या करना है, ये question. So write a paragraph in not more than 120 words, analyzing the listed responses to the situation when one faces setbacks. So analyzing the listed responses to the situation, when one faces setbacks. तो इस चीज को मैंने paraphrase करना है and this will make my introduction. उसके बाद highlighting the features and making comparison. So first point मैं इसे लूंगी. This will be my first point. इस तरफ से मेरा first point, I'll take this one and I'll compare and contrast these two points. After that, moving on, जो ये इस तरफ unhealthy process है, this first point, overwhelming self-criticism, self-doubt, it leads to the second condition. So it is leading to it. So I'll be writing it along with the first one. And after that, we can see that still, if here the person is not given any medication, if this thing is not controlled here, it further leads to this. So I'll make my second contrasting point this one. This will be my second contrasting point because it further leads to this if it is not managed. But this side, if it is managed, there is healing. So this will be my second point for this side. So here it says that What you have to do, you assess the magnitude of the setback, assess the difficulty work, and you build a grit to do work. So there is positive things happening here, but still this side, if it is not managed, it leads to anger, anxiety, and depression. So again, my 2 points will be contrasted here. Then for conclusion, I'm going to choose this. This I'm going to choose for conclusion. Now let's see what is happening here. Let me write here CON for conclusion. Now if you check here, when healing is occurring here, so it's not that healing it is occurring and all the time there will be no setbacks. Setbacks can happen in between also. So sometimes if setback happens in between, it may a block can occur again. Then scary early life experiences of being reprimanded for not meeting expectations, such things, unconscious and habitual process of blocks, they can come again. But when there is healthy processing, it again leads back to healing. But in this case, this blocking that occurs in between, it can again lead to unacceptance of situation, inadequacy, incompetency, danger, and threat, and blaming others. So this again I'll be using in conclusion, this point. And this we have to write in 120 words. So कोई भी चार्ट, कॉन्सेप्ट चार्ट इस तरह से आए, so you have to divide it into like this कि मैं पहले फर्स्ट पॉइंट में कौन सी दो चीजें वो कंपेयर एंड कंट्रास्ट करूंगा, सेकंड पॉइंट में क्या करूंगा, और फिर मेरी कंक्लूजन क्यों होगी. नाउ इफ यू गो बैक मार्किंग स्कीम में एक बार फिर हम देखें, अगर any 2 points of contrast and comparison, so हमने 2 points minimum देने हैं, and वो 2 points जो हैं I have shown you those 2 points here. So these are going to be my 2 points. तो अब हमने कैसे लिखना है? This is the answer. The given concept chart describes 2 different sets of responses to setbacks. तो ये हो गया मेरा paraphrasing. Given concept chart क्या describe कर रहा है? 2 different sets of responses हैं to setbacks. नाउ टॉपिक सेंटेंस कि मेरा पैराग्राफ आगे किस चीज के बारे में होने वाला है. सो यूजुअली सेटबैक्स मेक वन अपसेट. सो मैंने आपको कहा था कि दोनों ही केसेस में अपसेट हो रहा है, बट हाउ वन डील्स विद इट डिपेंड्स अपॉन द अप्रोच. ऑप्टिमिस्टिक है या पेसिमिस्टिक है. सो rather than using healthy and unhealthy, I have used optimistic and pessimistic. So ये हो गया मेरा टॉपिक सेंटेंस. सो मेरा पैराग्राफ जो है वो यहाँ से पता लग जाता है कि मेरा पैराग्राफ किस बारे में होने वाला है. इट्स गोइंग टू बी हाउ वन डील्स विद द सेटबैक एंड इट डिपेंड्स अपॉन द अप्रोच. सो आई एम गोइंग टू डिस्कस ऑप्टिमिस्टिक एंड पेसिमिस्टिक अप्रोच. आई एम गोइंग टू कंपेयर एंड कंट्रास्ट दीज अप्रोचेस. नाउ मेरे 2 points of comparison आने वाले हैं. So a promising approach. So for optimistic approach, I have used the word promising approach. So इस तरह से हमें different vocabulary, different words use करने हैं. We are not to repeat words. So a promising approach to setback leaves one richer in terms of learning, reflecting, aligning and setting to work. So ये healthy way हो गया. Healthy way में लोग सीखते हैं अपनी गलतियों से, अपने सेटबैक से. सो वन बिकम्स रिचर इन टर्म्स ऑफ लर्निंग. उसने सीखा, रिफ्लेक्ट किया, अलाइन किया, अपने आप को अडेप्ट किया, एडजस्ट किया एंड सेटिंग टू वर्क, और दोबारा से शुरू हो गए अपने आगे फ्यूचर के बारे में. सो इट ऑल्सो सर्व्स एज अ वेंट टू सप्रेस्ड इमोशंस. सो सप्रेस्ड इमोशंस को एक वेंट मिलता है. दिस इज अ पॉजिटिव अप्रोच. कॉन्ट्ररी टू दिस, सो ये आ गया मेरा एक्सप्रेशन for functional language. So contrary to this, a despairing approach. So despairing approach अब मैंने use किया है pessimistic approach के लिए. So a despairing approach leads to self-criticism, low self-esteem and overwhelming emotions. ये हो गया first point, which pave way to. So हमने वो देखा था कि उसके आगे भी जा रहा है वो. Which pave way to rumination, listlessness and wavering attention. So which pave way to, this is another use of functional language, a phrase here leading to the next point. So ये मेरा first point का जो है contrast हो गया. Now we move to the second point of comparison. If not managed, so as I told you कि अगर pessimistic जो approach है उसमें अगर control नहीं किया गया, then it will deteriorate further. So if not managed, this can initiate apathy, anger, depression and anxiety. However, the former way leads to, so again functional language, however, द फॉर्मर वे यहाँ पे आ गया ऑप्टिमिस्टिक वे, जो फॉर्मर वे है दैट लीड्स टू हीलिंग एंड एक्सेप्टेंस। सो हमने दूसरा पॉइंट जो है वो भी कंपेयर एंड कंट्रास्ट कर लिया कि जो पहला वे है उसमें तो हीलिंग हो रही है सेकंड पॉइंट पे आते आते। So leads to healing and acceptance. Now is turn of conclusion. So overall conclusion को overall से हम शुरू करते हैं so that the examiner comes to know कि ये concluding part जो है शुरू हो गया है. So overall it is clear from the chart that a setback brings on feelings of inadequacy, incompetency and unacceptance. Responding to setbacks in a healthy way culminates in success. So setback जो है वो चीजें इस inadequacy, incompetency और unacceptance लेके आता है, लेकिन अगर healthy way में respond किया जाए so it ends in success. So this is how you have to write and analyze a concept chart that is given, and the words are 127. So it is within the word limit. So I hope that it is clear how you have to do it. It is not at all difficult. You just have to understand. बस एक समझ के करना है कि हमें किस तरह से वर्ड्स पिक करने हैं, किस तरह से कंपैरिजन के लिए पॉइंट्स बनाने हैं. इट्स गोइंग टू बी वेरी इजी फॉर यू. नाउ आई विल बी giving solutions of rest of the sample paper one by one. So what you have to do, you just need to subscribe to the channel. So that's all for today. Do subscribe, follow me on Instagram and give this video a thumbs up. Bye for now and happy preparation.